So this is a bottle of the GlenAllachie 10-year. This is the cask strength GlenAllachie from the core range. I have a bottle of batch number 7, and we're gonna taste and review it right now. My whiskey journey has taken me to Scotland and back. I've explored whiskey education, tastings, and distilleries from Islay to Speyside. And now my journey continues here, with you, on Whiskey Whereabouts. Okay, so this is a cask strength 56.8% GlenAllachie, and mine again is batch number 7, and this batch is based on a vatting of sherry, Oloroso, and Pedro Jimenez mostly, but also with a smaller proportion of virgin oak and Rioja wine casks in the mix. And so we go for the nose on this one. And the first thing that's hitting me is this brown sugar. Brown sugar sweet, chased by a little bit of sort of an alcohol fume. It's not that hot, but it is there. Not really harsh, it's just sort of present. And you're getting a real sherry. Yeah, that orange is there. Wrapped up in that sherry sweet that's really familiar. When you go a little bit deeper, still sweet, but it's almost like a nougat and like a cocoa. A little bit darker, not really bitter yet, than those brighter sort of brown sugar notes. Yeah, the next level down is sort of a darker, murkier kind of berry. There's a little bit of Rioja wine in the casks in the mix here. When I get a whiskey with the red wine cask influence, I get that sort of a darker berry, not as ripe, not as sweet. This has almost a savory, almost like a hazelnut on nose. Very inviting, nothing off, nothing harsh. So onto the palate. So it's really not hot for this ABV. It's kind of a magic trick. It's really, really sippable. My glass I've had out, it was out for more than 10 minutes. And I've had this bottle open for a while. I've been enjoying it from time to time. It's been open certainly for more than a month. So this has had plenty of time to breathe and open up. And I am getting a very approachable, very drinkable dram, neat at nearly 57%, which is pretty impressive. I'm getting sort of a rich red fruit cherry sweet on the top of the sort of palate, inverted almost from the nose, where the sherry elements were coming in first. So we've got a real nice, rich, dark cherry, and there's also like a sour berry mixed in. Not bitter, not this element, sort of a sourish, not quite ripe berry taste. A little bit unexpected, very nice. There is a brown sugar sweet underneath, it's there. But there's also like a dark chocolate, bordering on bitter, not quite there, but a dark chocolate, not a rich, sweet chocolate, sweetness, and there is still also a bitter element sort of from the wood that is sort of running through and balancing out any of the sweetness. It's not coming off as your standard sherry bomb sort of sweet. It's not sharply sweet. It's nicely balanced on the palate. So we go to the finish. Very easy to drink. Nice little warm, a little bit of warming sensation here in the chest. Nothing sharp, nothing harsh. It just does not drink like a hot whiskey or even a cask strength whiskey. Again, like a chocolate covered espresso bean. That's sort of sides of your mouth, right down the middle is that little bit of bitterness. And you've got that nice little bit of that bitter down the middle. This is a very drinkable cask strength whiskey, and I would say that this is also a sherry whiskey, a sherry bomb whiskey for people who think that sherry bomb whiskeys are too sweet, too sherry. And it has some complexity. Now this is a cask strength whiskey, and a lot of times we're gonna have that with water. I'm gonna experiment with the water to see what the water is going to do to the flavors here just to see. Yeah, and on the nose, and this happens sometimes, and I suspect, I don't know, I suspect that it's because of some of the elements that are there in the nose. Neat, when the water hits them, they're kind of dropping down. But I'm getting all the alcohol now. And you'd think adding a little water, we're diluting it, but what we've done is change the makeup of the congeners here where the alcohol is really forward. So the nose, now I have to kind of get through that first wave. It's not that harsh, it's just dominant. And underneath is that sort of bakey, sweet sherry. It's very sherry, brown sugar. The wood's there. A little bit chocolatey, maybe. It's a little muddled. The citrus comes through after a minute when the alcohol fades. I would say not a huge improvement because we're getting more alcohol and a little bit less flavor on the nose. But let's see how the palate goes. I mean, you drink this all day. I mean, there's no heat to it. It's not caustic at all. I'm finding on the finish, I'll start there and work my way back. I'm finding on the finish that sense of that sort of coffee chocolate kind of wrapped around that bitter has kind of faded. And what you're left on that finish is a little bit more of the bitter. And so I would say the nose and the finish, both lesser than with the water. Back on the palate, pretty similar experience on the palate. I think everything's accounted for. I'm getting that oak bitter is sort of running through. Maybe the volume turned up a little bit on that, but those sweeter elements, I'm losing some of that berry on the palate, which was really on the top. It's there, but it's down in the mix now. So overall, I would say water turning up the heat on the nose and turning down the dimensions on the palate. So water is probably not very helpful to this whiskey, but it doesn't matter because it's so drinkable, even at 57%. This is a really sippable whiskey. This is a whiskey that, like I said before, might be an alternative if you think that maybe this whiskey is a little too sweet, or this whiskey is a little too hot and sweet. These are Tamdhu and Aberlour's cask strength non-age statement whiskeys, and they're a little bit hotter. The Tamdhu is 57.5. I think it's 61.5 on the Aberlour. Here we're over here below 57, pretty close, over $120. Over $100 easy. I paid $95 for my bottle of the GlenAllachie cask strength, and it has a 10-year age statement on it. These are non-age statement whiskeys. As good as they are, they do not have the age statement, and they cost more money to buy. This is a real value proposition with an age statement. It has some exotic, slightly exotic cask influences, giving it a new dimension, and I have absolutely no complaints about this whiskey. This video came up because this whiskey was on a list that I did. I will link to it at the end about best whiskeys under $100 for a bottle. I paid less than $100 for my bottle, and I have to. I think this is the first time on the channel. It's 5 glasses. It is the first in the club for the 5-glass rating, GlenAllachie's 10-year cask strength. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you subscribe. You won't miss any future videos. We're going to see if we have any more tastings coming up that can reach this rarefied air with the 5 glasses. We're also, as I've talked about in some previous videos, trying to reach that 500 subscriber mark. When we do, I'm going to have a distillery exclusive bottling that I'm going to open up. We're going to do tasting like this on the channel. I hope to see you then.